Here, conservative activist, member of the New Right, author of Citizens for Trump. Victory, ladies and gentlemen, victory is ours. Victory is ours. Victory. This is what victory looks like. This week, I held an event in Seattle. An event that I decided that we were going to protest the removal of the Lenin statue in Seattle. I hopped on a plane. I hopped on a red-eye. Didn't put any of this on Twitter. Didn't mention anything about this because I knew it would happen. I didn't let anybody know that I was going out there. I hopped on a red-eye. Tarazenkaya! I want you to come tell the story about this.
About what?
They are removing the statue of Lenin in Seattle. They have announced it. Wow. I hopped on a red-eye to Seattle. I told no one that I was doing this because I knew that it was the time. Folks, we needed a Doolittle raid. And that's what this was. I hopped on a red-eye to Seattle. I flew there. I called up my friends in Seattle and I said, guys, we need to do this. We need to call for it right now. If we're going to be taking down signs, it's time to take down this one as well. I went there on my own dime. I didn't tell anybody about it. I reached out to my friends in private and we shut it down. They're going to tear down the statue of Vladimir Lenin in Seattle. The mayor just announced that they are going to be taking it down. They're taking it down. We went there. I was the only person. I was a guest speaker, essentially. The other folks were all local. They were from Seattle. And this statue stood as a monument to the alt-left. This statue stood as a monument to Marxism, a monument to what was going on, a monument that they worshipped. Tarazenkaya.
Yeah.
Tarazenkaya.
I'm here. I'm just listening.
We need to force the left.
Oh, you want me to join you? All
to
right.
play by their own rules. We forced the left. So help me tell the story, sweetheart.
Hello, everybody.
So you were there.
I was
there.
there.
So it was Tuesday night. I went out there Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
What time on Tuesday night did I come up with this idea?
So it must have been almost midnight.
Almost midnight on Tuesday.
Almost midnight.
And what time did I get on the plane?
I was taking you to the airport at 6:30 in the morning.
6 a.m. So with less than 6 hours of time to even sleep, I said, I'm buying a plane ticket. I'm going to Seattle. It's time to protest this statue. We need to do it right now. We need a strategic victory against the left. Because people are saying, well, guys, the protest wasn't that big. Guys, the protest was huge. The point is the strategic value, the strategic timing. You have to understand that you can't just do stuff. You can't just do stuff out there in the ether. You have to have timing. You have to have the right moment. You have to ride the wave. When we did Shakespeare, that was 2 people. Okay, that was 2 people when we did Shakespeare. This was what, 7. It's all about the strategic value of that move. It's all about the strategic value.
And the timing.
Yes.
The right timing, because I know in Baltimore, they've been removing statues with the wake of Charlottesville and that statue being taken down. That was the time. Okay, so if we are doing this, then how do we counter answer to those people?
All your statues belong to us. All your statues belong to us. And I said, you know what I said? I said, look, I came up there I did a lot of interviews while I was there, and I said, look, I'm fine if you want to put it in a museum. That's what I think. We should put it in a museum. That's what we have museums for. That's why we have museums. That's why they're there. Okay?
It was a part of the history. Whether you like it or not, there are many awful things, there are many good things that happen.
But
Some
not,
of the
but not,
statues
not necessarily
remind you,
American history either.
true. Some of the statues remind you of the historic events that took place. Some of the statues remind you of the leftover communism, leftover Bolshevism, leftover socialism. That's what the statues are.
I'll
They're
give
like
you-
a reminder
so
of
as
something.
an example, as a perfect example, you are from the Soviet Union, yes or no?
Correct.
You
Yes.
are. You were born, what does your birth certificate say?
I was born in the USSR. I'm a USSR citizen.
Well,
so
you
my
were.
birth certificate, yeah, I was, yes. So my
Yes.
birth certificate was issued in the USSR.
So what did they do with the statues of Lenin after your country broke free and got independence from the USSR?
Well, during the times of communism, every city, every major city, and it doesn't have to be a big city, small towns, every town on the main square will have a statue of Vladimir Lenin.
Okay.
Every single one up to this day has the statue of him. It would be a
So they still have the
full
statues?
height. They still have the statues. When you were
Interesting.
visiting, remember, we took the pictures.
I saw the one at like the college or something.
No, it was in Brest.
But wasn't
We were
it?
passing it by.
Wasn't it at a college?
No, it was not in the college. It's usually placed on the main square, like the city square, the square of the small towns. It doesn't matter. The main center city in the square will have the statue of Vladimir Lenin, full height, big one, like kind of overlooking the city. They're still there. Very often he would have his hands spread out like this.
And so what I should ask people is, did I use violence to get this statue taken down? The alt-left uses violence, uses destruction. They set statues of Abraham Lincoln on fire today. They defaced
Wow.
the Lincoln Memorial. The alt-left is violent. The alt-left are terrorism. I went out, was I violent?
No.
What did I do?
You guys had a peaceful event. You held the signs stating exactly what you were against. You were periscoping to let everybody know what you were standing for and what other people thought was the goal. And you guys just voiced your opinion over it.
And I called them out. I called them out. I called them out on their crap. I called them out on their double standard. I called them out and I said, I said, fine. I said, fine. If we're going to take down statues, we need to take down this statue of evil. We need to take down this statue that stood for bigotry and hatred and genocide after genocide after genocide. The people of Cambodia, the people of Korea, the people of China, the people of Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, etc., etc., gypsies, Jews, homosexuals that were rounded up and sent into the gulags 5 years. That's what Marxism stands for. The killing fields of Cambodia and Pol Pot. The Viet Cong, okay? That's the alt-left. The alt-left is Marxism. The alt-left is trying to bring Marxism and communism back into our world. The Marxist communists that almost brought us into nuclear war. They held the world at the brink of nuclear war for almost 100 years, these Bolsheviks alt-left. And that is why we pushed back, and that is why we're taking down this statue, and that's why it's getting taken down. And we didn't use violence. We didn't use attacking. I didn't set it on fire. I had a sign. I had a couple people with signs.
I love the idea of putting those statues in museums. Destroying them would basically, you cannot erase history. You cannot get rid of the historic events. They happened, they were in the past, moved on. The remnants of the history, that's what we keep in the museums. That's what the museums are for. So, you don't like the idea of the statue being in the open public places, okay then.
Like you're honoring it. There was a older woman who came up and said, I didn't even know who she was. She wasn't part of the group. And she said, you know what? I drive by that statue every day when I'm going to church. and it reminds me of the persecution and genocide of Christians that happened under Marxism. So she said every time when she drives to church, she has to drive past that statue, and it makes her reminds her of she gets scared because she remembers the persecution and genocide of Christians under Marxism, under communism, thanks to Lenin. And that is exactly why things like that are why that statue needs to come down. And that's why it is. The Seattle mayor, gotta hand it to you, because he is saying that the statue needs to come down, and it needs to come down now. Called him on a crap. I called them on it. Because I knew what they were going to say. I knew they were going to say that we need to take down all Confederate statues and that any monuments to slavery need to come down. Okay? That's what they all said. And everybody said, "Oh, Jack, oh, your sign, your protest is so silly. It's sarcastic. It's goofy. It's dumb." Guess what, guys? But our point was accurate. Our point was correct. We were correct because they couldn't say that you can take down some statues. You need to take down all of the statues. So if we find any more of these, who else? Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, any of them, they need to come down.
Are there any statues of Bill Clinton?
I think there are some statues of Bill Clinton. Well, we can have protests about those too. I wouldn't necessarily call him an extremist ideologically, but he is a rapist. So I don't know why anywhere in America would want statues to rapists. All I'm saying. So that's right. Stick them in a museum. Isn't that what we have museums for?
Exactly.
Yeah, call it the Museum of the Confederacy, right?
So as you're walking through the history and you would like to learn more about Bolsheviks, you'll walk in, you'll read about the movement, you'll see the people, and that's how you'll get introduced to that part of history. And then you move on to the next room and learn about socialism. And you see more statues. And keep it that way.
And I made sure that when we went out there, the group that I came out with was a diverse group, because I knew they were going to try to say stuff like that. So I came out with a diverse group of people. I didn't even ask this, but it ended up being, there was a Syrian immigrant with me, a Jewish woman, Native American guy, myself, I'm Catholic. I'm Slavic, Polish Christian, or Polish Catholic. And that is why what we did was effective. That is why our operation was effective, because we need to take down their icons. We need to take down their history. We need to take down their worship of these insane, tyrannical dictators, people who stood for the murder of 100 million people worldwide. 100 million people worldwide. What else should we say? Are there any other monuments to communism and Marxism in this country? Because if there are, now is the time, folks.
Where are you going next?
Now is the time. If we can find any more, that is the ones that we need to take down. We need to take them down, and if we find any streets that are named after communists, if we find any schools, universities, institutions, shrines, worship shrines, anything about them, you go after them right now. You need to go after them immediately, because now is the time to make them answer for their crimes. Because the people are outraged right now, ladies and gentlemen. People are absolutely outraged, and nobody wants to have the debate about it. They're just taking the signs down. They're taking them all down. So that's why we need to go back. We need to turn around and say, hey guys, look, if we're taking down statues, we need to take down them. Because we will not allow them to keep their idols up. We will not allow them to keep their icons up. Why do we have Marxist statues in our country in the first place? This country was founded on freedom. Freedom of the economy, we call that capitalism. It was founded on freedom of individual rights. It was founded on freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, all of it. And that is the is the amendment that I was exercising. That is why I was exercising my First Amendment right, which, of course, that somebody just said we should take down the Rocky statue in Philadelphia. Why would we take down the Rocky statue?
No,
Hold on
you
a second.
don't touch
Hold on.
Rocky.
Hold on
Oh,
a second.
no,
Let me just
no,
tell you something.
no,
Can you YouTube? Hold on. We are not taking down. How dare you? Let me tell you something. As a Philly kid, if you want to take down the Rocky statue, you got to come through me first. All right? You got to come through me first. You got to come through the Philly kid, Jack Posobiec, if you want to take down the statue of Rocky. That's not going to happen. That's absolutely not going to happen. Hold on. You want to take down the Rocky statue? Excuse me.